Silence. That's what the soldiers said they heard first. That tiny fraction of a second where your body knows something is coming. So, but your brain hasn't caught up yet. And then, a drone. Not a fighter jet, not an artillery shell, a drone. So, a small, cheap, modified commercial flying machine humming low through the Lebanese sky, flying under the radar. So, slipping right past every billion-dollar defense system Israel has ever built. And on April 13th, 2026, it found them. So, it found 10 Israeli soldiers operating in the rubble of southern Lebanon. 2 went down moderately wounded, 6 more lightly. 8 soldiers, 1 drone. And nobody, not in Tel Aviv, not in Washington, had a clean answer for how to stop it. So, and that was not even the worst day. Stay with me. Because what is actually happening is not the war you're seeing on mainstream news. So, the version they're giving you is sanitized. It's carefully shaped. It's the story that certain governments want you to believe. So, what's actually happening? The numbers the IDF doesn't publish. The tactics from a playbook that has beaten superpowers before. So, the money pipeline keeping those rockets flying. The split between Washington and Jerusalem that is keeping this war alive. So, welcome to Global Context. Today we are going deeper than the headlines. Hit subscribe right now and let's get into it. So, to understand what's happening today, you need to understand November 2024. That ceasefire is where the real story begins. So, by the time that ceasefire was signed, Israel had genuinely hammered Hezbollah. Hassan Nasrallah had been killed. Israel used 16 bunker buster bombs to reach him 60 feet underground in a Beirut apartment block. So, the IDF had destroyed somewhere between 60 and 70% of Hezbollah's medium and long-range rocket arsenal. Hezbollah is not a normal armed group. It is a state inside a state. It's an ideology that carries weapons. So, when you kill its leader, it doesn't fall apart. When you destroy 60% of its rockets, it doesn't raise a white flag. It rebuilds. So, under Naim Qassem, Hezbollah decentralized everything. They didn't rebuild large, centralized rocket infrastructure. That was detectable. So, the big launchers, gone. Replaced by smaller arrays hidden in the basements of homes, in Shia villages and agricultural buildings. So, when you destroy one, Hezbollah loses one launcher. It still has hundreds more. It's like cutting one head off something that grows them back. So, on March 2nd, 2026, Iran pushed Hezbollah off the sidelines and into the active war. And what happened next stunned the IDF. So, the rockets had not stopped during the ceasefire. They had multiplied. Hezbollah was averaging 100 rockets per day into Israel. They figured out how to saturate Israeli air defenses by launching simultaneous attacks. Rockets from the east, drones from the west. So, this is a military force that studied its enemy for decades and built a doctrine designed to hit the gaps in that enemy's strengths. So, let me talk about the Iron Dome. That name carries enormous weight, almost mythological weight in Western coverage. The Iron Dome has roughly a 90% interception rate, but when Hezbollah fires 100 rockets, that 10% is 10 rockets hitting. So, the Iron Dome has physical limits. You cannot track and intercept what you cannot process fast enough when it's all coming at once. So, 40 rockets went airborne. Kibbutz Misgav Am hit directly. A school in Deir al-Assad struck. Nahariya hit repeatedly. A 1,500-year-old church in Nahariya damaged. An infant wounded. These are not statistics. These are people living inside a conflict. So, when Israel re-entered southern Lebanon in March 2026, occupying territory it had withdrawn from in 2000, the generals promised speed. But Hezbollah had been preparing for exactly this moment for 26 years, since the day Israeli soldiers left Lebanese soil in 2000. The result is a battlefield that is slowly, quietly bleeding the Israeli military in a way official announcements don't capture. So, 6 soldiers killed in 2 weeks, 10 paratroopers wounded in Bint Jbeil, a town that has become a brutal, active battleground. Bint Jbeil is the capital of resistance. It's where Nasrallah gave his most celebrated speeches. It's where the tunnels run. So, now let me tell you about the Radwan Force. They were built for one purpose: to fight Israeli soldiers on the ground in southern Lebanon. So, they engage IDF troops in direct face-to-face combat in terrain that provides every possible advantage to the defender. So, they carry Russian-made Kornet missiles capable of penetrating the armor of a Merkava tank, the most protected tank on Earth. Of the more than 350 Hezbollah fighters killed, roughly 1/3 were Radwan Force members. That's an extraordinary rate for an elite unit. Then there's the weapon changing everything, the one no Iron Dome can stop. The modified commercial drone packed with explosives. Hezbollah is now using fiber-optic FPV drones that cannot be jammed by electronic warfare because they're guided by physical cable. So, these drones aren't built in garages. They come from Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, specifically from the IRGC Aerospace Force. So, Iran built a distributed drone army across the entire Middle East. Not one army it controls directly, but a network of them. So, the money is staggering. Iran provided Hezbollah with an estimated $1.5 billion since the November 2024 ceasefire alone. The Lebanese Prime Minister said it publicly. Hezbollah operations are being commanded by IRGC officers directly. The IDF's analysts admitted they cannot locate the majority of rockets before they're fired. Their reality is essentially reactive. Israel launched Operation Eternal Darkness, the largest strike on Lebanon since the war began. Over 100 targets in 10 minutes. So, then Trump got on the phone with Netanyahu. Within hours, the US position changed. Lebanon was no longer covered by the ceasefire. So, Israeli-Lebanese talks in Washington are underway. Marco Rubio sitting at the table. Talk of disarmament and normalization. So, the first Lebanon war started in 1982. It ended 18 years later. Hezbollah emerged more powerful than ever before. No exit strategy. The most powerful military in the Middle East has re-entered a conflict it already fought for 18 years. So, on the Lebanese side, over 2,055 people killed, more than 1 million displaced, entire villages emptied out completely. So, is there any realistic military or diplomatic path to disarming Hezbollah? Drop your thoughts in the comments. So, share this video, subscribe, click the next video on your screen. This is Global Context. Stay sharp. So, the Dahiya neighborhood of Beirut, a dense, mixed civilian area, has been struck repeatedly by the IAF. On April 8th, Operation Eternal Darkness hit central Beirut during rush hour, with no prior warnings issued. So, a strike in the Christian community tore open precisely the kind of sectarian wound that Lebanese society has spent decades trying to close. Young men sent into a country that is not theirs to fight a war that started before some of them were old enough to enlist. So, the human cost collected in casualty announcements and families waiting by phones for news that never seems to be good. So, the 8 soldiers wounded on April 13th are not the last chapter. They are one paragraph in a story with no clear ending. So, the drone is still humming, the rockets are still being counted, the Washington talks are ongoing, the tunnels remain. So, in a basement that looks like a storage room, there is a launcher pointed south, waiting for the order to fire. So, the IDF is not losing in the conventional sense. It has destroyed enormous infrastructure and killed hundreds of fighters. So, but it is also not winning in any way that produces a stable, secure northern Israel, with Hezbollah disarmed and gone. It is not winning in a way that has permanently shifted the fundamental balance of will that determines how asymmetric conflicts end. So, this is what happens when a capable military runs into an ideology that has had 26 years to prepare for exactly this fight. So, an ideology that is funded by a regional power, that has no central headquarters to destroy, and that cannot be bought off. So, an ideology that measures its success not in battlefield victories, but in the simple, brutal act of survival. So, is there any realistic path to disarming Hezbollah? Or is the only question whether the Washington talks produce a formula for leverage? So, share this video with anyone who's been watching the surface coverage. This is the picture underneath. Subscribe for more. Zoa. The Lebanon-Israel talks in Washington are ongoing, and we will update you the moment anything breaks. This is Global Context. Zoa. Stay sharp. We'll see you in the next one. Zoa.